Officially a meeting in the ladies' room.
Yeah,
In
like
the
that.
ladies' room.
Yeah.
Yes. Ladies, are we making dinner or are you making reservations? We're busy. It's not like it used to be when our parents and grandparents, were, in relations and raising children. Career, we're trying to balance, being a mother as well as, being a wife or a partner.
You nailed it. Nailed it. You really did. Because, like, and I did that. Like, what we gonna eat? That'd be like something quick. Like, you're going home to cook, and then you'd be like, cooking what? Hot dogs. I hear the music, but I'm going to start. Good evening to everybody who is watching us this evening. We have the meetings in the lady room again this evening. We're so happy that you took a moment out to watch the show. Like to introduce the co-host for this evening, the illustrious and the beautiful Andrea McFarland. How are you doing this evening? Pretty good.
Hello. I am doing well.
Great. So we have this topic tonight, Andrea, and we're going to be discussing, are men fair in dating, relationships, and marriage? Now, of course, Andrea, we already know what the sisters are saying right now. We already know that a lot is already, they've already gave the right there as soon as the question was even presented. So how do you feel about our men fair in dating, relationships, and marriage? We're having a little bit of problem at this point. Gonna wait for a quick second to see if Andrea is able to get back up, and if not, we will continue. So I'm going to take the show for a quick second until we are able to fix some of the technical. Okay, hey, here we go. All right. So we can just pick up. Andrea, what you think about our men fair in dating, relationships, and marriage? What do you think?
I think fair is kind of, first of all, a very dangerous word, because fair in dating really depends on who you're dating, realistically. Their decisions are often based on their experiences. So I believe that fair can be what they believe is fair. It doesn't always mean that it's not fair. Sometimes we just don't understand it. So how do we change that? I think it can be a question too.
Yeah, very true, very true. And I like how you had said that, because I was going to the word perceive, how we perceive things to be. And our perception of things may not necessarily be what it is. So how we perceive something as being fair is based off of our own personal insight, like how we see things. So we're having a little bit of technical difficulty again, but most of us are seeing things based off of things that we have experienced through our lives. So environmental things, like how we came up, how the things that we saw, the examples of relationships before us. So a lot of times we carry those things in us. Okay, yes, you're back, great. Yes.
All right, we're better.
Okay, got you. Would you like to add on? Yes. I was just talking about perception.
And again, perception really is super important, because if you come from a place, family dynamics experience, where fair means what you say is what it is, then to them it's fair. And depending on who you're dealing with, really is going to depend on your outcome, because either you're going to be willing to compromise or you're not, which also means you're going to be willing to move from relationship to marriage. Can't get to marriage without compromise.
Right. Exactly. Totally agree. Totally agree. A lot, sometimes it's so hard. Like, I say, are men fair? But it's almost like a two way. It's definitely a two-way street. Not to say is men fair, but are we fair to each other? Are we looking out for each other's best interests together in a relationship? And are we choosing wisely off gate? Are we choosing wisely, or are we just going in for the gusto no matter what, and then going to say, is he fair?
And are we carrying anything in for him to necessarily be fair? Because if we're carrying
Mm,
luggage, you know what happens when you carry luggage? You get weighed
yep.
down.
You
We
way
have a
down.
perception that it's already going to be heavy. So if you're coming in heavy, how can you even allow him, fair or not, to to even be able to say, okay, let me lighten your load, because we carry, and it's just
That's right.
natural, because we are relational creatures, and so it happens that
Right.
way.
They didn't call it bag lady for nothing.
That song, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and that's very true. And when you bring that up, it always comes back down to, that was a great example that you use, is self-analyzation, her, ourselves, women, because we're talking about men, are men fair? So we say, women, are we preparing ourselves properly? Are we healing ourselves? Are we airing our stuff out, before trying to jump into a relationship, being with somebody? When we do have, and I think we don't look at ourselves sometimes, so we don't know that we are carrying baggage, but we are carrying, and they carrying too, but we carrying it together.
Hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. But it's still, and if you really want to talk about fairness in regards, it still has to be fair. We have to be fair, have to consider where they've come from. And that's a struggle,
Yeah,
because if we're already carrying what he did, why should I give him the benefit of the doubt? Is that
yeah,
fair?
yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's the honest to God truth. That's the importance of us understanding our men, our men, because a lot of times you hear they're this, they're that, in it ain't this, and all those types of things, but not really realizing how hard. Not only is it hard for us, we know that, but there's been so many benefits for us too as well, to uplift the woman above the man, actually,
Mhm.
above the man. And
Mhm.
so the man's right here, our man right here, and then they got these things that's putting us above the man, and we're looking down on our men and saying those kinds of things. So yeah, we need to be very mindful about what they've been exposed to, what they have went through, and we as mothers too, what some of us have exposed our boys to. And you see it at the grocery store. Look, little, come here, shut up.
Mhm.
you know
Yeah. Yeah. A-
from day
abs-
one.
Absolutely. This question actually poses, ugh, if it's something new from both sides, aren't both parties bringing in baggage because two people are coming from two different paths? Absolutely. That goes back to perception. Because if, no disrespect on either side, but if as women we come from a family where fair was to listen to whatever we heard, whatever we were told, whether right or wrong,
Mm-hmm.
that's our fair. But if
Mm-hmm.
you're coming, if a man is coming to into the relationship saying, no, I don't believe that, um, I'm on a totally different path than you, do you just give up?
Right.
Or do we take the time to learn his way, because his way may be what we've been praying for this whole time.
Totally agree. Totally agree. Totally agree. Totally agree. And another thing is learning, we've had a discussion in the past about it. Learning men, be learning that men are not women, learning that they're not always soft. Their words might not always be kind. It might be a little bit, but they don't intend harm. But they're not women. So to be able to sit back, listen to what they're saying, like you said, because they have something that they can offer in their minds to us, and we have to be willing to adhere to what he's saying. And even when it's not coming soft, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because he's not soft. Because he's not.
And there are some that are,
Yeah.
and because we have been made rough
Yeah.
to
As
us,
women. Yeah.
to us, is that fair?
Yeah.
That's the difficult part, because
Yeah.
we yearn for that. We start off in a relationship, and then we move to marriage, and we want that. We want that soft stuff. We want that, the rose petals. We want the bubbles. We want the easy living when we come home, and then we beat them down because we're not getting the force that we were getting before.
Right. 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 Yep. And we've got to definitely learn to stand behind him and not confuse the roles, not
Mm.
confuse. But and I think men sometimes, if they don't understand why we have became a little harder as women, not understanding how much women, and I'm not faulting them. I think it's just at this point of time now, we're in the communication days, right? We're communicating now, so we're talking about this. Women have been head of households. Women has had to pay the bills, take care of the children, figure out how she's going to make stuff happen and make it happen. So
Mhm.
she's taking on yin and yang. She's taking on female male attributes. So when they come with us, they sometimes they misconstrue what we've been through too.
Right. Right.
To be like, she's like this, she's like that, and we're at each other's throat, not understanding, well, she's been doing this for 25 years. She's been doing this for 30 years. She's been doing this for 15 years. She is firm.
That's that's a good word. That's a good word. And it took me a very long time to even be able to get in a position to say this. But just like the last comment, if you're in it to win it, you have to be willing to put it down. It's not always a weapon. If they're both in it to win it, you've got to come together to heal, to see what the other person has, what the other person is struggling with. Where I'm lacking, I need somebody that can pick up where I'm
Yeah.
lacking. And
Yeah.
if they don't compliment me, take a step back and say, is it necessarily being fair? Or if that is he not just the one for me?
Right. 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 Because it could be both ways.
Both
Yep.
ways.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes because we've had to work so hard, Lisa, um, our independence can sometimes be a blessing and a curse.
Right.
We
Totally.
don't know any other way.
Yep. Right. Because that's all we've seen for a long time, and that's all we've experienced for a long time.
And
That's
so
right.
we have to put it down sometimes. To be
Mhm.
fair, we have to put it down. And you spoke about that role. We have to allow our men to be our men, because
Right.
for so long we beat them down, um, and we tear them down, and they're not able to be our men in the capacity that we dream for. And then we get them and we tear them down.
Right. Exactly.
That's
Right.
counterproductive. That's
Right. Exactly.
counterproductive.
Yep. And then say, why aren't you like this? Like, okay, well, you tearing them down.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's why
Yeah.
he's not like that. And in some cases, that's why they perceive, and our brothers perceive other women of other nationalities as what they need, because she is the opposite. Perceive once more. She's softer. She doesn't hurt. She's not verbal, as much as we are. And it's not understanding each other, not understanding what each other has been through either. That has
Hmm.
shaped both of us.
Hmm.
We are the perfect match, but we just have some crap in the middle that we need to
Yeah.
communicate.
Okay, I'm going to say this, ladies, and I know that this is going to be a struggle for a lot of us. Wusa. There cannot be two alphas in a relationship.
Yep.
And as women, just because we're not alpha, it doesn't mean that we're weak.
Right. Right.
Just because they're alpha doesn't mean that they're right.
Right. Right. That's true.
That's where that fine line. That's where that fine line is.
Yep. Yep. And he says, he took the words out of my
Where-
mouth. Yep. We're definitely, and as women, we need to, I was just talking about this a second ago, but it was like learn to keep our emotions at bay. At bay. So even when he's not correct, it doesn't mean there's a time for everything. It doesn't mean it has to be the time right then and there to deal with it. It could be that you just hold it for a minute and get back
Turn
to
the other
that.
cheek. Turn the other cheek.
Turn the other cheek. Swallow that. Because it's okay to swallow it for a moment, and just
Mhm.
not be at each other's throat trying to be right.
I have to pose the question and asking you as a sister, relationally, as far as fairness, someone has to let someone win to show growth. I semi agree with that statement, but is it winning?
Right. That was part.
Doesn't
Yeah,
always mean
exactly.
that it's winning. But my question as far as fairness is, why does it change? Why does the fair change from relationship to marriage?
I'm trying to. Why does the fair change from relationship to marriage?
Mm-hmm. Have to build each other up to make things work. Communication and being real to each other. Facts, Felicia.
Hmm.
Facts.
Hmm.
Facts.
And be able to endure. I think because yeah, if I'm answering that correctly, I'm thinking the things that it takes to get from a relationship to a marriage: sacrifice, understanding each other, communication with each other, endurance, even, something just hit my head: modesty with your man.
Oh.
It came to my head, so I just had to drop it. Don't know why. Modesty with your man,
Oh.
because he wants to make you his. He wants to make you his. So there has to be something that's for him. So it came, so I had to just drop it. Yeah.
Self last sometimes. You're right, Kim.
Putting himself last.
You're right. You're right.
Oh yeah. You win when you submit to prevent hatred and animosity.
I think with that, with what Eric just said, I think what I would have to say lastly is submission is not something that you take. Submission is given voluntarily when you allow yourself to be modest with your man. With modesty comes humbleness. With humbleness comes,
Yes, yes,
comes joy. And when you can bring joy,
yes, yes, yes,
period.
yes, yes. That's right. Yes. Oh yeah. Just that right there. That's a beautiful thing you just said. When you can bring joy. That's deep. And let's just say when he walks in and you see him and you smile. Yes, beautifully. And you know, he just feels like this is where I'm supposed to be.
Exactly.
You brought him joy.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. We just have to be careful. We really have to be careful as women. And I can say me because I'm no perfection. I can say we as women, we just really have to be careful on what we bring to our men. Because what we won't do, the reality is somebody else will try to mimic it.
Yeah.
And so we have to be careful. Modesty to our men. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
And I love what you just said. That's a key thing right here. Somebody will try to mimic what we don't do. You know, mimic gave me a feel of, and it's false, like illusion. She mimics. Somebody else will mimic. That means it's going to go away. That's going to go away. You know, it's like that momentary thing. And it's factual. What you said is factual. But it's momentarily. It's momentarily.
Yes. So what I'll say is absolutely chew on that. Ladies, think about what you can do to improve your modesty with your men, in hopes to create just a little bit of fairness. It's easy to do. Know your man. You'll know what he needs to feel fair.
Yeah. And know your woman powers. Because we got them. Use them for good.
Thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity. And hopefully see you again.
Yes, Andrea, it was wonderful, Queen. And see you again, beautiful.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.